I am healed, whole and healthy. I relax and visualize. I am healed, whole and healthy. I am well. I am well. And good morning. We are live in the green room with Karen Drucker. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning, Jeff.
And you recognize that song?
I do.
That's one that you wrote?
I did. Hey, my little camera has an X through it. Does that mean am I on with you?
It means you're on. If you click on it, your camera will go blank.
Oh, it's the opposite. Okay, it looked like it was like not happening. Okay, good.
So if you click on it, it actually turns blue.
Oh, interesting. All right, I'm telling you, I am in tech. I don't know if I should call it heaven or hell, but it's amazing what this is all like right now to just every day be doing this technical stuff. But I got to tell you, I had such resistance to all this. I was like kicking and screaming, and I just had it's such an example of like when in our philosophy, the concept of whatever you focus in on grows. I just kept focusing on, I can't do this. This is too hard. I'm not technical. I'm not. And talk about affirmations. I was affirming that like every day that I can't do this. And, it's really been astounding to me that once I really got how much I was creating those mental pathways of saying, I can't, this isn't working, and realize the bus is going in a certain direction, Drucker. You just better get on it. I just got over it. And I realized like my husband was trying to teach me something. And, it's a typical thing like when you're teaching someone to drive and it's like, here's how you do it. And he's showing me these things. And he's super fast and he understands it all so well. And he's showing me and going, got it, got it. And I'm like, no, no. And I finally realized my way of learning this is I had to just say, oh, do me a favor. You show me the thing. I'm going to just take notes. I'm going to write it down. I wrote down my notes. I typed them up all pretty. I now have a book. It's like, here's how you do this. And I said, go away. You just have to like get out of the room. Just go away. Don't be, because then it would like be hovering here,
Right.
No, click this. It's like, just shut up. And I just took my little notes, go away. And when I figured it out for myself and did this one thing that I looked at my notes, I was like 5 years old. I was so excited and jumping up and down for joy. And it was like a portal that I went through of seeing like, you can actually do this if you just take the time and do it in your own way, which means I don't have to have anybody hovering over me and saying, do you have it? It's like, go away. Let's do it. And it felt like it was just this victory. And now I'm actually excited about learning, new platforms. I'm doing a chanting night tonight with our friend, Reverend Doug LeBeau down at his center at, what time am I on? 6:00. And one of the things that I loved about one of the reasons I really wanted to do this with him is he has this beautiful program that he does where you're like in one little corner and all the lyrics are just all right next to you in this beautiful way. And it's like, I want to learn how to do that when I'm doing a chanting concert, that I could have, all these great graphics. But I mean, it's beautiful what he has done. So, I'm doing that tonight. But anyway, I'm learning about technical stuff and I can't say I'm great at it yet, but no, I will affirm I'm great at it.
Well, that really wonderful husband you have. Yeah, we talked a little bit before we went live. Can I borrow him? Can I have him come over and be my husband I would love for him to hover over me for a minute. And I know.
Well, you're friends with him. You should just call him and say, how do I make this better? I mean, he's doing that. He's doing that for people. He's now finally got his act together with Zoom. So he's been coaching some of our, some of my girlfriends that, are doing church services that are,
right.
And everyone needs to learn it.
He really is good at that. And he's really knowledgeable and really fast.
He's really, yeah. That's why he's such a great engineer too, because he's so fast and he's, I mean, I think he's really brilliant with this. Right. Aside from, he's this great player, he's a great guitarist and bass player. And so we've been actually one of the true joys that's happening for me in all of this is that we have been writing together again. I mean, so many of my songs have been. I mean, if people look at the liner notes, it's usually him writing these. With I'll write the lyrics, but he'll do a lot of the music with me. And Alan, my friend Alan, great author. People don't know about him. Has this wonderful expression that I use all the time, which is you got to make the main thing be the main thing. Meaning, what is the main thing in your life? And are you making it the main thing? And I realized that my life, I mean, the way I make my living is through my songs and songwriting and putting these albums out. And from the albums, then people go, oh, I want to spend time with you and I'll come to your women's retreat or I'll come to a talk you're doing. But the main thing about me is music. And Jeff, I can't tell you how painful it's been for me in the last few years that I haven't been doing any music. Yeah, I go to a gig and I sing my songs, but it's like songwriting and just being creative and recording. I haven't done any of that for a few years because I got so away from making the main thing be the main thing. So into the minutia of my life and details and traveling and did I rent my car and do I have my hotel and what songs am I singing and all that stuff. And so now John and I have been writing and recording, and it's just been fabulous. I mean, we just both went, wow, we got back to the main thing about, our bringing, our two creative minds together. It's been really fun.
Well, excuse me for coughing. And I need some coffee. And I have it in my purple mug because purple is spiritual. So I try to make my morning coffee spiritual. Anyway.
And what else do you do, actually? What else do you do in your morning practice? What is, if you have your purple
I have,
cup, what else?
purple. I get up. I have a couple of things that I try to read every day. First thing I do is I say, thank you, God, help me be an instrument of your peace. And then I read my things, and then I drink out of my spiritual purple cup. I haven't been journaling lately, but I usually have a purple pen that I write and I journal every morning, make notes.
I usually wear purple. I'm surprised I didn't do that for you today.
Well, I'll send you a memo next time. But I need to do all that in order. I struggle with feeling grateful and getting into my day. So every day before I get out of bed officially, I have to go through this process of making myself feel okay.
That's great. Well, so that's a big part of my practice and what I teach in every single one of my women's retreats. Anything I do, I have this thing. It's called morning bliss.
Mm.
And so morning bliss is when I do it at a retreat. This is the really long version of it, but it can literally be, I advertise it as it can be a 5-minute routine. And morning bliss that I do is I sing, I do chanting on the piano. I'll do like 3 songs with chants, then a prayer. Then when I do a retreat, I have a couple people do readings like out of Science of Mind or Daily Word. And then go into journaling. And the journaling, I always say, could be 3 different ways. One is that you do the Julia Cameron morning pages. Do you know about that?
Mm-hmm.
So, that you just scribble as fast as you can for 3 pages. The other thing is you just you say, what does my heart have to say to me today? And you let that be what prompts you. Just what do I need to be today? What are you saying to me, heart? And then the third way is you ask a specific question, or you can journal on that. So I have this right now up on my bulletin board from Alan Cohen. If you were going to take really good care of yourself today, what would you do?
Mm.
And then from that you go into meditation, and then from that you do some sort of a song that you dance to, or you just move around. So I'm so grateful, and so that's what I do for like the first hour of my retreats, and people just get blitzed. So do I. You just get kind of blitzed out. It's not about engaging the mind, that you could take this practice, so I say this to your listeners too, you could take this practice and make it like just a 5-minute practice. It could be you do breathing for a minute, you could listen to music, you could journal on one question. So I think that's great. And gratitude, I mean, doing a gratitude practice every day, just like, what am I grateful for today? List one thing.
Okay, so this is what I just thought of. Before we get to the questions I have for you about what you're doing, you just finished actually something before we went live. You had just finished, and what was that?
Well, again, my resistance to, oh my God, how do I do what I've been doing for years, in classes? How do I take that online? And I sing quite a lot down at this wonderful center in Palm Desert, Center for Spiritual Living in Palm Desert with Joe Hooper. And they're doing, I mean, God bless them, they're doing something for their congregation every single day at 10 o'clock. So David Alt was just interviewed yesterday. I think, he was on, I was on a few weeks ago. But I just said to them, oh, if you ever want me to do a class, I would think about that. So I'm watching my friend Gary Lynn Floyd being interviewed by Joe a couple weeks ago. And he goes, oh yeah, and Karen Drucker's on next week doing a class. And I'm like, what? And that's what I'm noticing is happening for me. It's like I'm saying yes. And in this particular case, it was like, yes, for May 6th, you're on at 10 o'clock in the morning. And it was like, and so I just finished it. And it was really fun. I mean, it was really fun. And it was mainly fun for me because it was a webinar, which I've never done a webinar. So there were, I guess, like 80 people on the call, on the video, but I was only working with 6 ministerial students from the church. So I had 6 people on Zoom that I'm looking at and working with them, and everybody else was just observing. And I think that was the key for me. I think that was really the key is I need to look at people.
Right.
Every time I've done something like this where I'm just, like I'm just on the radio or television or where, I mean, not television, when it's something where it's just, I'm a voice, I'm just doing like a lecture or something like that. That just doesn't do it. But when I can see, I'm looking at you right now, it's like we're just having a conversation. It's different to me. It's connection. And so that's why this class, I think, turned out to be much more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Right. And what were you teaching them?
I was teaching how to write your own chant.
Oh, well, okay. Now that brings me to what I was going to ask you to do. If you don't mind, play something that's like a chant that you would maybe do in the morning for your morning bliss thing.
Well, can I get up for a second? Just entertain them.
Okay. Okay. I will try a different camera angle here.
No, the reason I did that is because I just wrote this song and I don't know how it goes. I just played it earlier. So so I'm talking about heart. And so this is the biggest practice is, what does my heart have to say today? So I just wrote this the other day because I was about to do, the other thing I'm doing is I'm back being a music director, which is just a kick because I swore I would never do this again. But my local church here that I was the music director of for years, Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, she called me up and said, well, hey, you're not on the road. Could you do Sunday mornings with us? It's like, you got me. I'm not doing anything. So every Sunday I'm live at 10 o'clock, for a half hour with this minister. I just do a couple songs. And now what's really great is bringing in different artists from all around the country, whereas, like I have David Roth, who's this great guitar player, singer from Rhode Island. For him to come to my area and perform is a big deal, but for him to just pop in and on Zoom and sing. But anyway, so 2 minutes before the service on Sunday, I realized she gave me a little bit more information about what she was talking about. And I thought, well, let me write a chant really fast. But I love this one. It works for me. I open my heart always knows. I open my heart and drop into my soul. I open my heart always knows. My heart always knows. Do that again. Open my heart. My heart always knows. I open my heart and drop into my soul. I open my heart. My heart always knows. My heart always knows. My heart always knows. So something like that, just saying my heart always knows, to start that as a morning meditation. I mean, your heart knows much more than up here. And that's why so much of my work is based on that concept of, like, check in with your heart. What does your heart have to say? Your mind's not going to tell you. Your mind's going to come up with a million reasons why you can't do what it is you want to do, or you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not. But your heart.
Yeah. The other thing that I've been thinking about, and thank you for sharing that. And while you were doing that, I was breathing and thinking about the stuff that we've been talking about and doing. And you also mentioned that you had came from a place of music with your husband. And what I've watched you do over the years is start there and then grow to this point where I can see when you say, I felt like I was pulled all over, but you were so going, doing all of these things. And we talked a little bit about that the last time you were on, how all of a sudden you're kind of relaxed. But now, right?
I'm telling you, Jeff, this is, they had a webinar. I didn't watch it, but they had a webinar. Pandemic as Spiritual Practice was the title. And I went, sign me up. And it's really interesting because I truly feel that this whole time has been this giant mirror for us to look at our lives. Or I'll speak for me. It's been a giant mirror for me to look at my life, because where I first started, actually, I just realized something, Mr. Audio. I didn't take the reverb off.
There?
Why should I be taking the reverb off? Does it sound weird?
It actually isn't too bad while you're talking.
All right, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Well, I didn't even think about that. See, that's right.
It sounded good. It wasn't overly done. So
okay, good. Anyway, so I feel like this is all this enormous spiritual practice, because when it first started, I was panicky. I was very emotional, but I will be really honest and say I was like, oh, thank you, God.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will be really transparent here and say, there were times where I thought, what is it going to take for you, Drucker? What is it going to take for you to stop this lifestyle of being on the road and working so much and not having time for the things that really bring me joy? I mean, I really love what I do. I love speaking. I love the women's retreats. I love doing concerts. But the travel part of it, and again, the minutia that it takes to get on the road and do this, there's so many details that happen for every gig that I do. For me to walk out the door, there's just a million details that I'm handling. And I just was feeling overwhelmed and tired. But I had these jobs booked, a year out. You can't just all of a sudden go, I'm just not feeling it, and so I'm going to cancel. I need to just be in my heart, and my heart's just saying I don't want to come. So you understand. And but was like, what is it going to take? And so I think I mentioned this to you last time, that in March I thought, well, I'm just going to not accept a few of these gigs so I can just stop and check in a little bit more. And then this happened. And when it first happened, and I thought, oh, maybe this is like a month, I was like, I was quiet. I wasn't getting any calls. I was sort of freaking out about, all my gigs are canceled. How am I going to pay my rent? But there was this quiet, and I was like, ugh. And the panic was also really bills. We've talked about that. How am I going to live?
Right.
But Jeff, I swear to God, I just put myself out to a few people saying, well, if you need me to do music on a Sunday morning or whatever. And now this whole wave has happened for all of us doing New Thought music, of churches, of ministers getting technically savvy to realize, oh, I can call, Claudia Carawan or Karen Drucker or David Roth or whoever in, all over the country and have them send me videos and I'll plop it into my service, or I'll have them live, from their room and, just do it live. And so now, like on this Sunday, I have 4 events happening.
Wow.
4 events that, it's like, and even today's 3. 3 with an additional video. I have 2 videos that just came in this morning. Can you make a video for Mother's Day? And boundaries are kind of my issue. I probably need to say no. But when, these are friends of mine going, hey, can you help us out? I'm like, sure, I'll get it done. But now I'm in a new place of how do I go back to stillness? How do
Yeah.
I have that balance?
The things that are rolling through my head while I'm listening to you talk, my perception of you is that you are really creative and you are masterful at marketing, at knowing people and becoming acquainted with people and your craft, and being friends with all of the people in this spiritual community. And you've made this such a part of your life, and you're able to now, this is what's really interesting, is now you have settled down and now you are just as busy as you were before, but you're not traveling.
I know.
uh,
But I'll tell you something though, the spiritual factor in all of this that cracks me up. Yes, I've taken that out of the equation. I'm not going anywhere. And yet this last week I sat down and went, oh my God, I'm as overwhelmed right now as I was when I was on the road, when I was, just getting that feeling inside of like, ah. And I went, obviously, it's not about the road. Obviously, like
oh, oh,
wherever you go, there you
yeah,
are, that concept.
yeah.
And so I realized it's me. It's how I'm holding things. It's how I am. Even this morning, like I was thinking, this class that I taught. I've taught this particular class for years. I don't even think anything of it when I do it. But now doing it in this new platform, I don't want to say I was, well, yeah, I was nervous. Not nervous when I first started, but just like concerned, like how do I squeeze a 3-hour class into 1 hour? How do I work with participants? How do I, it's all brand new. And I said to myself, can you look at this main principle that you tend to do all the time, which is instead of, well, let me put it this way. Can you hold this with joy and expectation as opposed to, oh my God, this is scary and how am I going to do this? Is this going to work? And I realized that that's what I do. My default tends to be that I'll go for, I hope I'm prepared. I hope this works, as opposed to, wow, what fun I get to do this cool thing. What fun. I've got 3 events I have to do today.
Yeah.
And so it's the way, it's what so many of my songs are about. I have this song today I choose, what am I choosing? To be happy or, I wrote this new song that just came out on my website. My first time doing a single. I've never done that. I've always waited until I had a whole album. And I have this brand new song called I Could See Peace Instead of This. And, the verses are talking about, every moment I have a choice that I could choose love or fear. But if I want to be happy, the answer is so clear that I can see peace instead of this. And I'm working that principle. I'm working that principle of like, I can choose that I could look at all of this that's going on and be living in utter fear. And God knows you turn on the TV for a second and
Oh,
it is going to just give you that validation.
Yeah,
How many people have died today? Today's the worst day of it all, and you just,
I can't
or I know,
can't watch.
but I'm choosing, how much am I going to watch? How much am I going to subscribe to that stuff? And yes, it's part of the fabric that we're all living in right now. I mean, you can't avoid it, but can I choose to do the things that I'm doing on a daily basis and do it with love and excitement and even how we started this conversation? Can I look at the technical and say, wow, I get to learn new things as opposed to, oh my God, I don't know how to do this.
You
Lighten up. That's what
you have such a bubbly personality, though. You are so warm when you deliver all your stuff. I don't think anybody could ever see that any of that other stuff was going on, about, oh, how's this going to, because you come off so happy. And
I
so,
do. I know. I mean, I've seen videos. What's really funny is I've seen, our friend Lauren Mayer.
right,
We used to do these corporate comedy shows that, I mean, Lauren is brilliant. And actually, if your viewers don't know about her, laurenmayer.com, she writes these hysterically political comedy songs every week. She makes a video every single week. But years and years ago, we were partners doing comedy, corporate comedy. And it was so funny because Lauren would she'd write these songs like with all these acronyms, of all the company acronyms in a song, like to respect, RESPCT. It would be like the acronyms for the company. I would drill this stuff into my mind. It was so difficult for me to learn it, but I would drill it in and I would just practice it and practice it. And I remember I had to come out as Glinda the Good Witch. And I have this huge pink, I mean, I look like a pink bubble gum. I don't know. It was just this big pink dress and the big headdress thing. And I came out and I remember standing backstage about to deliver this song, respect with these words, with all these new words. My heart was pumping. I mean, it was going ba boom. I'm backstage. I'm about to open the door to my entrance and I think I'm going to faint. And I can feel sweat everywhere. I'm dying. I open the thing, I come out, and I do the song, and thank you God that I didn't, because those were the things. If you blow the lyrics, how do you get back? You
right,
just like do it. But I watched the video later, and I was amazed. I thought, well, that's what experience is. That I looked like I just do this song every day, no problem. But I know how I felt inside. And I remember when that show was done, I think I drank the biggest glass of wine ever. I mean, I was so freaked out. But I think that's the concept of 10,000 hours, I think, when they say that you're a master after 10,000 hours. I've been knowing this a long time.
yes.
So I think I just know how to pull it off. But I'm trying to make my insides match my outsides more.
Yeah, that I think that takes such a long time to learn how to do that. I think about that every day, and I'm so far from doing that.
But see, the thing great about this show, and I love how you're talking about this, is that so much of it is just being yourself and being vulnerable. I've watched you with David. I've seen how you're disclosing, you're allowing yourself to just use this as a platform to just keep stripping off the layers. I look at it like, it's like we are like artichoke hearts. You just keep stripping off the layers
Right.
and you get to that pure heart of the artichoke or onion skin, whatever you want to call it. But to me, that's what it's all about, is that you just keep stripping away parts of yourself, being vulnerable, allowing yourself to not be perfect, and throwing yourself out into the world. I mean, I say, with everybody, whenever especially with any classes I teach, this chant class especially, if I waited until I thought I was ready, or I
Mm,
thought I was perfect, or I thought I could sing good,
mm,
I would have never put anything out. I mean, we're in the same circle of musicians. I mean, my
right.
God, there's so many great singers around here and people who've sung backup for me. I would always say to them, why don't you just sing the lead? You're doing it so much better than me. If I waited until I thought that I was like completely, happening, I would have never done anything. And so I think that's like today. That's what today was about. Like, okay, I don't know how to do this chant thing online. Let's just do it. See what happens.
Right. And I sit here as I'm doing these things and I think, oh, how can I make this better? How can I do this? And I feel like I stumble a lot and, I make goofs and make mistakes. And then I think, no, I just got to, I don't care. People are either going to like it or not.
Well, why are you doing this? What is your motivation for doing these
Uh,
shows?
Initially, the motivation was I've got to do something. I've got all this gear. Let me just bring it in, and maybe I can have people come over and play, and we can do a live stream show from my house. And then we stopped going out. So then I thought, okay, how can I use this gear that I have? Uh, and I thought, well, I'll see if I can do voiceovers. So I made a few recordings and sent to people. Of course, no response because I don't know anybody in that world.
Well, and no one's doing anything, right?
No, not at all. So I just made a live stream and thought, well, I know all these people. I'm just going to start calling people I know and just talk to them for an hour.
I love it. I mean, how great is it, and what fun! I mean, what an interesting skill and you've got such a great voice. I mean, you could parlay this into a radio show that you.
Well, I practice every night. I go in and I talk like this. but well, here's the thing: is I had no intention other than just doing this and filling up my time. And I said I'm going to do 2 a day, and sometimes I do 3 and 4 a day.
Do you really?
I do. And I think I've put on my YouTube channel almost 80 interviews so far.
Oh my goodness!
And what it's done for me is it's slow going sometimes, and it's almost like a podcast. So there's nothing really fast and flashy. So people click in and click out. But if someone who knows you is tuning in, there are nuggets of wisdom that have already come out of what you've said and different things that people can take away. So the idea is just in us talking, if anybody is interested in anything we do, they can kind of eavesdrop and go, oh, wow, that's a brilliant idea. And it's just us talking. And I've learned so much about each and every person. It's like, even with you, when I go, okay, I want to make sure I know what Karen's doing so I can talk about it. And I've been doing that with everybody, and I've discovered so much, and I've discovered the art of listening.
Let me tell you, for a man especially to say that, that is the most probably, if you were to ask any woman, what is the quality you want in a man? Bada bing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've had everybody that I've had on, and I have Maggie Cole on this afternoon
Oh, that's right. That's
at
right.
3. So she and David and Rick Walt, and even you, when I talk, because you listen, but Maggie in particular, she taught me first what it's like to have somebody just listen. And I'll talk about that experience later today, but I basically cried for an hour and she didn't say a word. And at the end, it's, are you feeling okay, honey? And I was, wow, that's what that's like.
The
And
greatest gift you can give anyone is just your attention,
right.
period.
And what I'm learning is I ask a question and then just listen. And at first it was hard for me to not go, uh-huh, yeah, and to not even do that, but just wait until people are completely done with what they have to say. I've gained new respect for people who interview, because there's really something you really need to be able to listen.
That's it. And it's the same thing. Like, I mean, even just bringing it back to just a human level of just, I mean, when a woman, well, there's a great video. I'll send you this video. Well, you should look at it. It's called, it's not about the nail.
It's not.
It's a little, have you ever seen that thing?
No.
Oh, it's hysterical. Go
it,
Google it. It's not about the nail. It's just do a little YouTube thing on it.
oh,
And it just shows women and men's relationships, because she's saying, well, I'm not even going to tell you what it's about. You have to just see it. But, like here, this is one of my theme songs. You are seen, you are heard. How does this go? You are loved for who you are. You are enough. You are complete. You are loved. And at the end, I'm just going, you are seen, you are heard. You are loved for who you are. That to me is like the bottom line of everything. In all my women's retreats, we constantly say, when someone says something, the validation that the group says back to them is, you were seen and you were heard. And we shorten that with just saying, blessed be, you're seen and heard. And that's the greatest gift.
And the other side to that also is, once you've listened, that you don't always have to have a comment or advice.
Praise God. I'm sorry, but truly, that for men to realize is that you don't have to fix it.
No.
You don't have to, if she's saying something and she's crying or whatever, even in my retreats, when people, because it's a woman thing too, you want to go over and go, oh, it's okay, honey, and, hug them or whatever. I set up the thing with like, if someone starts to do that, it takes them out of the experience. As soon as you come over and hug them, they felt your energy. Let them sit there and cry. That might be the main thing that they needed to have done. Just that's why they came to this retreat, just to simply have that door open and just let it go. And I think that's probably one of the main problems, in the way that we are all structurally set up is, God bless men, love you. But, there's such a fixing, like, let me take what you're saying and I'm going to make it better and fix it. God, if you just listen to me, that's all I needed. Just hear that I'm upset today, or, just really connect with me. That's it to me.
Do you mind if I share a little story?
Sure.
Because this isn't supposed to be about me, but this is an example of what we're talking about. 4 years ago, I think it was, I went out to Reverend Michael Beckwith's New Year's retreat, and I did sound for that silent retreat where people don't talk for 3 days. They just don't talk. And all you do is meditate for 3 days and meditate into the new year. And I was doing sound. And, when you're doing those retreats, and you've been part of many of them, people break down and they have revelations and they have emotions pour out. And there was this one afternoon that was going on. It was like a 2-hour meditation, and this woman just uncontrollably just started releasing all this emotion, and it kept going. And then there was a break. We came back and it happened again, the same woman. And finally, halfway through, no one was doing anything, because generally speaking, you let people do it. But I finally just got up and I walked over to the middle of the room and I just sat and held her. And what it did for her was I could just feel her just kind of pour into me as I held her. And I learned how to do that from Maggie, because that's what she did for me. And then when the meditation was over, I went back and sat down, and the response I got from people going, why did you do that? And I said, she just needed to be held. And that was it. And she came over and thanked me. I didn't need to say anything. And I think I try to do that for my children. I don't need to fix them as a parent. And I did that with Mackenzie this week. And I think, as what you're saying, as men, we don't know how to do that very well.
What you did, though, what I want to just point out is that there is an intuitive, you trusted your intuition at that point. You let her have her time. You said she was having all this stuff for a long time, but then your intuition said, go to her. Yeah. And I think that's what it is, because there are times when you want to be held.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that somebody cares, and somebody heard that I was in need.
Yeah.
And women are more easily, they recognize that more easily. That's the motherly instinct, I believe. But men, we suck at it.
I suck at giving. There's a chant for you. Well, I think I don't want to affirm that men suck at it. I would rather say it's maybe a skill and um, a skill that you just haven't maybe talked about and practiced enough. I mean, the men that I have met through going to churches and all the new thought, stuff that I've done through the years tend to be more along those lines that they have been in touch with their heart and they can trust it more. But it's just, I think it's a consciousness, and I think that you've displayed it. I mean, that's why I can speak to you so easily. Your heart is open,
Mm.
and I think it's a skill and practice that men just need to do more.
Yeah, I cry easily.
Well, that's great. Your heart is open. It's wonderful.
So I'm going to do while we're talking, because I want you to also share. You wanted to the book you wrote.
Yeah, well, it's not a book I wrote. I want to just share this. This is really so, I'm really all about heart stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got the greatest gift I've ever gotten in all of these years I've been doing this work. So, a friend of mine who's a minister at in the Unity organization. So, there's Centers for Spiritual Living and then Unity. So I play in both of these churches all the time. But he had a particular incident with one of my songs from the heart. Actually, I think the song you start off with, I'm healed, whole, and healthy. I think his mother had some sort of a health problem, and he gave her this album of mine, The Heart of Healing. And she listened to it all, when she was going through her chemo and stuff like that. So he had a real affinity with me and with his mother and the music and stuff like that. And so Unity puts out these booklets a few times a year. And he came to me and said, we would like to feature your album, Heart of Healing, and do a booklet and have it be that, it'll be like, here's the song on one page, and then you write a little essay about it. But then we're going to have different ministers and different people write about, something specifically with that song or the different themes. So look at this. They put out a 64-page booklet. It's free. Anyone can get this. You just go to unity.org and you can get this. But what's so beautiful about it is what they did is they took all the different themes from the album. So here's faith, self-care, affirmation, community, gratitude, visualization, and people wrote these beautiful, just couple page essays. And I guess if you make a donation of $25, they'll send you the booklet and the CD.
Oh,
So, but this is free.
okay. So now, how do they get that?
Unity.org. Just go to unity.org and it's on their homepage.
Unity.
unity.org, and it's called The Heart of Healing. And you'll see it. They even have on their homepage, I believe they have like all these different tools for turbulent times is what they're calling it or something. And you'll see my little thing and you click on that and it just says request your copy now and they'll send it out to you. And I think for churches, they're also sending out, I think for a nominal fee, they'll send you like in bulk. But yeah, it's just so great. And I think for me, it was so affirming. I mean, this book is beautiful. And it's a great gift to give to people because it's so positive. But, that's, I think, when you're giving me that wonderful compliment of, what I'm doing and my personality, I would say that this is my biggest heart calling is doing music for people going through challenging times, healing issues, whatever. So something like this just really validates it. And they've printed it in Spanish as well. I mean, it's just getting that message of healing and positive messages and using music is getting out to a larger number of people. And that makes me very happy.
Right. And your intention and your heart is in the right place for that to go there as well. And
I've
because,
lived it. I mean, because I've lived it,
right.
I've had both parents, go down that cancer road and to see what it's like to sit there by yourself in a hospital room, it's really hard stuff. And so using music as a healing modality is really one of my passion causes.
Right. And I think the people don't understand the power and significance to the chants and songs you write, because they're basically affirmations in music.
That's it. They're
That you
affirmations
just,
in music. And so I believe that when you say the affirmation and it's in your head, if it stays here, it doesn't do the same thing as if it goes down here.
right. And the musically, it sticks to us easier because we start singing the melody. So if I say, I believe in God, I believe in God, I believe in God.
But if you sang it, I believe in God, 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 I
Right.
believe in God, I believe in God.
So it sticks, and it's easier to then it's like a commercial,
It
you
is.
know. So
Well,
it
this is what I did with my students this morning. Plop, plop,
really
fizz, fizz. Oh, what are we leaving? You deserve a break today, so get
right?
up and
Get away.
do McDonald's.
Right.
You all those things are in your head.
Right. So the song, and I don't remember which of your albums that I used to give away way back when I was doing that, and then I met my nightmare for a few years, and then that went away. But I used to give one of your CDs, and it was a chant
Songs
CD.
of the Spirit too. The pink
Which one was
cover. Songs of the Spirit too. It has a pink cover. It has faith
yes,
in God. It has thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank
yes,
you for this day.
right.
Praise of
So
God. Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
bought a stack of those. I had a dozen of them, and I bought a book by John Randolph Price, and I forget it's just a little pamphlet,
yeah.
kind
The abundance.
of
The
abundance
power
book.
of
Yes.
abundance. I have the same one. Yeah.
And then I gave as a gift to people for their birthdays that CD and that book. That was my gift to them. And I think we need way, way, way more of that stuff,
Well,
especially
I'm
right
here, God. I'm here to do it. I'm here to deliver
now.
it.
So if anybody's watching and wants to call in, we've got some time. I've had my number up here for a few minutes. If anyone has a question for you, they're welcome to call in and ask about all the stuff you're doing, because this is what I don't realize people know about the churches. And even for me, it's confusing, because when we started, when you called me, which was and asked me to play drums at those Science of Mind things, that's when my life changed.
Well, and I had to say to you, I said, okay, let me explain what you're doing, because I knew you from playing private parties and corporate gigs and stuff. And
Right.
it's like, okay, here's this umbrella, and under that umbrella is Centers for Spiritual Living and Unity and AG&T and all these things. But here's the umbrella. It's all called New Thought. And you're like, okay, whatever. It's a gig. Yeah,
And so there's all those different kind of churches. That was my beginning into down this road, and that's where I met Maggie,
right,
who cornered me out in the parking lot and made me cry.
right.
And guess who's calling in?
Is that Maggie?
It's Maggie.
Maggie, Maggie, Maggie.
And so there's Maggie. Hey Maggie, can you turn?
Hello?
Hi, can you turn?
Hi.
Can you turn down the sound on your computer?
Yeah,
Okay.
got it.
Hey, Maggie.
Hey,
Maggie's a master. I call him Maggie a master.
How are you, Maggie?
I'm good. I'm watching.
Oh, good.
Honey,
Yeah, it's
honey.
fun. And I think she looks so damn pretty. I don't have a dress like that.
Oh, yes, you do. You have something like this. Maggie and I did.
Yeah, but I've been at home for 4.5 months. I haven't put on a dress. I haven't even put on pants except for pajamas.
Well, you might want to put on pants when Jeff interviews you. You don't know what people are looking at. But that's half the reason it's fun to do these things. It's like it forces you to actually fluff up. Put on something nice, put on a little lipstick. You can do it, Maggie. I know you can.
Well, honey, I will tell you that it's hard to hear you, so I'm just going to go back to watching.
Okay.
Okay.
And and then we'll see each other on Zoom on Sunday night.
Okay. Can't wait.
Okay.
Thanks.
I love you, darling.
Love you.
Thank you for calling in, Maggie.
Bye, honey.
Hi.
Bye, honey.
It is. I love Maggie so much. Um,
Yeah,
and it is.
I learned so much from Maggie. I mean, she is one deep spiritual woman.
Oh, oh.
And then what she does specifically with people, I mean, she just knows how to, when we would do these women's retreats together, the people who were, like that woman who was crying at you, I mean, she would know exactly what to do and how
Yeah,
to move them through it.
right.
Yeah.
So I met her and back at these RSI things. Now, this whole new thought movement involves all kinds of different churches,
Right.
and because of that, all of the centers for spiritual living, are those mostly unity churches?
No, so okay. Oh, this is good to explain this to you.
Yeah,
So so Centers for Spiritual Living. When I hired you years ago to do a Silmar,
right.
we used to have within that organization, Religious Science, there were two different camps. One was called United Church of Religious Science. The other one was called Religious Science International. So what was hysterical to me was we have an organization saying we are all one, and yet we were two. We were
Mm,
two organizations with two different boards of directors, ministerial programs. I mean, everything was divided. And it took years for us all to come together to just say, why are we two organizations? And there would be people that were like, because we are, this is the way it is. And it turns out what happened was, a science of mind or religious science, two different ways of referring to the same thing, was started by Ernest Holmes. And, I mean, I think Creative Thought and Success, one of his first books, is like 1919, so it's way back there. But at some point, like I heard the story is at some time like in the 50s or something, that group of people who had, put this all together got in some sort of a fight about property, about land or something like that. It was like, well, and they went off and they split into these two different organizations. And now through the years, this has all grown, but they're doing the same, they're all doing Ernest Holmes' Science of Mind, but it's called Religious Science International, United Churches. And then finally, around the time that you were starting to come in, there was movement towards oneness. But it's just like any kind of family. There were people who were so against this, just saying, why can't they just be my distant uncle that you just see at Christmas? Why do I have to now be in the same family as them? I don't want to be. And Asilomar was hysterical because I was the music director of both of them for a time. With RSI, it was with Donna. And anyway, and it would be so crazy because RSI would be one week and then United would be the next, and all new people are coming in. And just even the way, like how the stage was set or how the curtains would open. Well, in RSI, we do it this way. Well, in United, we do it this way. And it just was like, wait a minute, we are losing the point. Anyway, to make a long story short, so they finally came together. It was a big deal. Now we are called Centers for Spiritual Living. That is what religious science is. It's all Centers for Spiritual Living at Palm Desert, at, wherever. Then under that New Thought umbrella is Unity. And Unity has its own whole set of churches, and that's Charles Fillmore. And he started around the same time as Ernest Holmes. So you've got the Fillmores over here. They started in the Midwest. Unity has tended to be a little bit more Christian based because their original property in Kansas City at Unity Village, it was, there were a lot of pictures of Jesus, whereas in religious science, you wouldn't see that. But now within Unity, there a lot of churches are wanting more hip stuff, and so now the musicians that have been just in one camp in Centers for Spiritual Living are doing more Unity and vice versa. So I play in both worlds. Then one last thing. You've got Unity, you've got religious science, you've got Centers for Spiritual Living. Then there are offshoots from all those. Associated Global New Thought Network, Agape. Agape
right.
used to be a united church, but they split off to be like, we don't want to be part of this organization. We're going to do our own thing, but they're doing the same. It's the same principles. They're just their own governing thing. Does that all make sense?
Yes,
Good.
it does. And the one thing that I want to point out and be really clear about this is not to be confused with Scientology. And that happened when it used to be called religious science.
Yeah, and that's why they wanted to dump that name.
Right. And so many,
For science of mind, yeah, that people got confused.
yeah, it's always, is that cult thing?
Right. I
No,
still have people say that. Aren't you like a born again, whatever, Christian or something? No, 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 no.
no, it has nothing to do with all of that. And so if anybody's listening that doesn't know you, if they're tuned in just because they're my friend, you and about 5 other people that we know are huge in that community, in that whole new thought. It's you, it's Donna Michael, it's Jamie Lula, David Alt, Jack Fowler, Michael Gott.
Yeah.
And there's a handful of people, and
we've all been doing it for years. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time.
So
and I always say to people, when I have to give the elevator elevator introduction of what this is, I just go, Oprah, and they go, yeah, and I go, it's like Church of Oprah. That's kind of like what we're doing. And then they go, oh, that sounds really great.
That's funny. The Church of Oprah.
It's just like, in other words, it's positive messages. That's what it is. Whatever you focus it on grows. It's just like you just have to just distill it. But if you go into the God stuff, people have all their own images of what God is and whatever. So that's why, like, even in my songs, I don't even really put God in there that much anymore, because I don't want people to think I'm doing Christian music. Where this is new thought, affirmational, inspirational, positive message music.
Part of all these interviews I've been doing, it's been mostly musicians, and then it's been this spiritual thing. And I think it would be easy to confuse, oh, this guy's all into God and that sort of thing. And sometimes it's scary for people. And I don't think of it as God stuff, even though it actually is, but it's more of a, as you were just saying, a spiritual principle in being more positive than negative.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you know Ernest Holmes he didn't plan on this being an organization like churches. Yeah. I mean, it was a study group. That's what, when this all started, it was a study group, but then people wanted to get together, and of course they wanted to eat. And so it all became like, well, let's on a Sunday morning, let's get together and, we'll do this stuff. And, oh, maybe we should have some music, and maybe we should have a potluck afterwards. And it turned into having churches, but it was originally just a philosophy.
Right. So from that, now, believe it or not, we're closing in on our hour.
Well, that's when it's fun. That's amazing to me.
Because I could still ask more questions, but this one I want to make sure that everybody knows how to find you. I've had your website or your KarenDrucker.com is your website. So that's been up here. They can find everything that we've talked about on your website, correct?
Yeah, same. Even my little new single and everything. Yeah,
the new single that you have a newsletter that goes out so people can follow you.
Yeah,
you show up now. You don't have to travel everywhere, but you show up in everybody's church.
It's hysterical. No, if you go to my calendar, it's like I just sent out my newsletter, and my calendar was like double what it normally is, because it's like, really, there's 3 things a day, because it's like, I'm not going anywhere. So it's like, yeah, I'll play this church, and then I have a video happening at this church over here. It's like,
and if people want to donate money to you, do you have on your website a way for people to donate money?
Yes, actually, because everybody got on me about that I didn't have that, because I just felt like, oh, I don't want to be, I just felt really funny about doing that. But yeah, I now have a PayPal link right on my homepage. It says donate, and just goes right to paypal.me, Karen Drucker, or something like that. But yeah. And so it's like, I have to like practice my own songs of like, I am open to receive, which is like really been a little bit of an issue.
Right. I'm with you on that. And David was good at pushing me and giving me.
Oh yeah. He's pushed me into so many areas of uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, because we know some musicians that don't hesitate to get out there and say, "Hey, give me money," and do
I
their little
know.
things. And,
I know. I mean, these cozy couch concerts that Centers for Spiritual Living has put on. I mean, I've done two of them. I just was so weird about doing it, you know. But then last time when I had the donate button, people actually, and I was just like, wow.
right?
And
So,
one person actually just said, please let me do this. I've been a fan of yours for years. I've never met you, but it's like, you've given me so much. Please let me give to you. And I just
right,
realized, it's one of my themes. One of the songs I've written is, I'm here to give and receive love. I'm here to give and receive. And it's like, how much am I not receiving? How much am I doing this on some level? So
yeah.
I'm learning. That's the other part of all this is the other spiritual practice.
And as I'm sure everybody has told you, receiving isn't just about you; it's about them feeling good. Give.
I know this stuff.
I know, right? I see because that's what I have to remind myself too.
That's why I write songs about all my issues.
I just well, we seem to have a lot of the same issues then.
That's why I think we can talk so easily for an hour.
All right, so how about this? You can take us out with a song,
Sure,
or and and then at the end of the song, I'll close the show.
sure. Yeah, and the chanting thing. I mean, that's what my Mother's Day concert. For this for Centers for Spiritual Living. It's on my Facebook page. It's just going to be chanting. Just that's what I want to do is just have us all sing together. So let's do this little Buddhist prayer. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. That's the whole thing. Let's do may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. Let's do may I one more time. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and